My precious child, heaven had been watching you for hours. Not minutes. Not seconds. Hours. And what I am about to reveal is not a small whisper in the wind. It is not a random message you click by accident. It is not a coincidence that your eyes are on these words right now. This is urgent. This is sacred. And this is your final chance to understand what God has been trying to show you since the sun rose today. God is in tears. Yes, the creator of the universe, the one who formed the oceans and painted the skies, has been calling your name over and over. Not in anger, not in rejection, but in heartbreak. Because something is about to shift. And you almost missed the warning. For hours, signs have been placed around you. Small interruptions, strange thoughts, a sudden heaviness in your spirit, a feeling that something is not right, a nudge you tried to ignore, a message you almost scrolled past. That was not random. That was divine intervention. Archangel Michael has been standing guard around your life today. Not silently, but actively, blocking what you could not see, redirecting what you did not understand, holding back consequences you were seconds away from stepping into. And here is the truth that may shock you if you skip this moment. You are not just skipping a video. You are stepping past a lifeline. There is a decision forming around you right now. It looks ordinary. It feels harmless. But in the spiritual realm, it is loud. Very loud. Heaven has been attempting to get your attention because the path you are considering carries a hidden result. A result you would never willingly choose if you could see the full picture. God is not crying because he is weak. God is in tears because he loves you deeply. Because he sees what is ahead. Because he knows what is at stake, and because he has given you free will. That is why this moment matters. Earlier today, did you feel a sudden pause and delay? Something that did not go as planned. That was not frustration. That was protection. Archangel Michael was instructed to stand between you and something that would have drained your peace. But heaven cannot force your obedience. There comes a point when warning becomes responsibility. You see, this is not about fear. It is about awareness. There is an open door in your life right now. It looks like opportunity. It sounds convincing. It may even feel exciting. But behind that door is a lesson you do not need to learn the hard way. God has been whispering, wait. But your impatience has been answering, now. Attention is what you have been feeling for hours. Let me tell you something that may surprise you even more. The enemy does not always attack with chaos. Sometimes the attack comes wrapped in comfort, wrapped in validation, wrapped in something that feels overdue. And that is why this warning feels urgent. Archangel Michael is not mentioned here by accident. He is the defender, the warrior, the protector of God's people in moments of unseen battle. When confusion rises, when deception tries to appear as clarity, when emotions try to override discernment, he is sent. And he has been sent concerning you. There is someone around you who is not aligned with your destiny. Their influence is subtle. Their words seem supportive. But their presence shifts your energy in ways you have ignored. Heaven has been trying to show you this gently. But you kept giving chances. You kept explaining away the red flags. You kept saying, maybe I'm overthinking. You are not overthinking. You are discerning. And God is in tears because he does not want you to silence that discernment again. If you move too quickly now, you will step into a cycle that will take months to undo. Not because God will punish you, but because choices carry outcomes. This is your final chance to pause. Look back at today. The interruptions. The unusual delays. The inner voice saying, something feels off. That was not anxiety. That was divine guidance. The tears of God are not dramatic. They are compassionate. They are the tears of a father watching a child walk toward a slippery edge. Archangel Michael hath been instructed to hold the line, but he will not override your will. Right now, you stand at a crossroads invisible to the physical eye but blazing in the spiritual realm. One path brings temporary satisfaction and long-term unrest. The other brings temporary discomfort but lasting peace. And the shocking part, you already know which is which. That uneasy feeling you tried to dismiss is your confirmation. This is why the warning has lasted for hours. Because heaven hoped you would notice before the final moment arrived. And this moment is that final moment. Not because God wants to frighten you, but because love sometimes has to shout when whispers are ignored. Take a breath. Slow down. Do not make that call yet. Do not send that message yet. Do not sign that agreement yet. There is more unfolding behind the scenes than you can see. Archangel Michael is clearing something out of your path, but you must give him space to work. And here is the promise within the warning: if you choose obedience now, what was meant to trap you will instead expose itself. What looked urgent will suddenly lose power. What felt necessary will feel optional. But if you rush, you will feel the weight almost immediately. Not destruction, but regret. And God does not want you learning through regret again. That is why this message reached you before it was too late. This is not coincidence. This is intervention. Heaven has done its part. Now the decision rests with you. Will you pause? Or will you proceed? Choose carefully, because what happens next will echo longer than you expect. Beloved soul, what I am about to uncover will make the warning even clearer. You are not standing in confusion by accident. The pressure you have been feeling is engineered. There is a spiritual urgency around you because the decision you are about to make carries generational weight. This is not only about today. This is not only about this week. This is about the direction of your next season. For hours, God has been pressing on your heart because you were preparing to say yes to something that looks harmless but carries hidden consequences. And heaven does not interrupt without reason. When Archangel Michael moves, it is because something significant is at stake. You may have noticed unusual resistance today. Plans shifting. Conversations feeling strange. A delay that irritated you. That resistance is not rejection. It is redirection. What you thought was a setback was actually protection in motion. Here is what you were not meant to see. There is a spiritual attachment connected to the opportunity in front of you. It may be a partnership. It may be a relationship. It may be an agreement that promises quick progress. But beneath the surface it carries imbalance. It will demand more than it gives. It will take your peace slowly, not all at once, so that you do not notice the cost until you are already invested. That is why the warning feels emotional. God is not reacting out of fear. He is responding out of love. He sees how hard you have worked to rebuild your stability. He sees the nights you prayed for clarity. He sees the growth you fought for silently. And he refuses to let you lose that progress because of one rushed choice. Archangel Michael hath been standing between you and unseen spiritual interference. You may not see swords or battles, but make no mistake, there is a battle for your discernment. The enemy knows that if he can rush you, he can weaken you. If he can pressure you, he can distract you. If he can flatter you, he can bypass your caution. And here is the deeper truth. The offer in front of you is designed to appeal to your wounds. It speaks to your desire to be understood, to be valued, to finally receive what you felt delayed from you. That is why it feels powerful. That is why it feels timely. But timing that ignores peace is not divine timing. God's warning is not loud chaos. It is a steady internal check that says, wait. It is that small hesitation you tried to silence because you were tired of waiting. But waiting has been your protection. Waiting hath been your shield. If you move prematurely now, you will sense imbalance within weeks. Not disaster, but heaviness, subtle confusion, a slow graining of joy, and you will look back at this very moment and remember that you were warned. This is why this message found you before you finalized anything. Archangel Michael does not step into minor situations. When he is assigned, it is because your destiny line is being guarded. And right now, your destiny is more valuable than your impulse. Let me speak directly to your spirit. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You do not need to rush into alignment that feels forced. You do not need to accept something simply because it showed up. What is truly from God will not pressure you to decide under tension. Right now, heaven is asking for stillness from you. Not action. Not defense. Not explanation. Stillness. Because clarity rises in stillness. And this is where your obedience becomes powerful. When you pause, confusion weakens. When you delay reaction, deception loses momentum. When you choose prayer over impulse, protection multiplies. There is a reason you were guided here before making that move. There is a reason you felt compelled to listen instead of scrolling away. Your spirit recognized the urgency even if your mind tried to rationalize it. And I need you to understand something important. This channel is not random noise in your feed. Messages like this are lifelines for those who are spiritually sensitive but emotionally overwhelmed. If this warning is resonating with you, if you feel that inner confirmation stirring, then do not keep this to yourself. Like this video so it reaches someone else who is standing at a dangerous crossroads. Share it with someone who hath been feeling pressured lately. Comment what you are discerning right now, because your voice might confirm someone else's intuition. Subscribe and become part of this garden space where spiritual clarity is prioritized. Join the membership if you feel called to stand deeper in this mission of spreading awareness and protection. Your engagement is not about numbers. It is about impact. When you respond, the algorithm moves, and when the algorithm moves, warnings reach souls just in time. And before you move forward with your day, hold on. Because what is about to be revealed next will expose the hidden pattern behind this situation. You will begin to see why the pressure intensified today, and why heaven refused to stay silent any longer. Stay attentive, because this is where the deeper layer unfolds. Chosen one, the deeper layer is now being uncovered. What you are facing is not just a random situation. It is a pattern attempting to repeat itself. And heaven is interrupting the cycle before it locks into place again. You have been here before, even if the faces were different and the details slightly changed. The pressure feels familiar because the lesson has appeared in another form in your past. God is in tears not because you failed before, but because you are too valuable to repeat what almost broke you. Look carefully at what is unfolding. The tone may be different. The promises may sound more refined. The presentation may seem more polished. But the spiritual energy underneath it feels similar. That subtle anxiety, that quiet inner conflict, that sense that you have to convince yourself it is right instead of naturally knowing it is. This is the pattern. Archangel Michael has stepped forward because this is the moment the cycle either ends or restarts. And cycles are not broken accidentally. They are broken intentionally. The enemy studies your history. He understands what once distracted you. He knows what once made you compromise. So he sends a refined version, hoping you will not recognize it this time. But heaven has matured you. The discernment you feel today is stronger than it was before. Years ago, you may have rushed forward, ignoring the signs. Months ago, you may have doubted your instincts and followed your emotions. But now, something inside you pauses. That pause is growth. God's tears are not tears of disappointment. They are tears of compassion. A father watching a child approach the same intersection, praying they choose differently this time. Not because punishment awaits, but because unnecessary pain can be avoided. There is a spiritual law at work here. What is not healed will return disguised, and what is not confronted will circle back louder. That is why this situation feels intense. It is not new. It is familiar territory wearing a new face. Archangel Michael is not only guarding you from external harm, he is guarding you from internal repetition. He stands as a defender not only against outside forces, but against the version of you that once acted from fear instead of wisdom. And here is what makes this moment sacred. If you choose stillness now, the cycle closes permanently. If you choose discernment over impulse, the door shuts for good. If you trust the warning instead of the pressure, you graduate spiritually. Heaven does not celebrate perfection. Heaven celebrates obedience. And obedience often looks like restraint when everything around you says move. There is something else you must understand. The tears of God also reflect urgency because timing is involved. If you delay this correction, the entanglement becomes deeper. Not impossible to escape, but heavier to untangle. And heaven would rather save you from months of confusion than comfort you through it later. The warning has lasted for hours because this decision window is narrow. You are very close to acting, very close to responding, very close to stepping forward. And that is why this message feels intense. Archangel Michael has drawn a line in the spiritual realm. He has pushed back what you cannot see, but he cannot choose for you. Your authority over your life remains intact. You may feel torn right now. One side of you wants the promise. The other side wants peace. One side wants movement. The other wants assurance. Listen closely. Peace is the compass. Not excitement. Not validation. Peace. If peace is absent, permission is absent. This is the clarity you were seeking for hours. And now that it has arrived, responsibility follows. You ask God for a sign. Is it? You prayed for guidance. Is it? You felt unsettled and wondered if it was imagination. It was not. It was intervention. The cycle ends here if you allow it to end. Take a deep breath and choose maturity over momentum. Choose discernment over desire. Choose long-term stability over short-term relief. Archangel Michael is holding the door closed, but your hand is on the handle. Release it. Let what is not aligned walk away. Let what is unstable collapse. Let what is forced dissolve. Because what is truly yours cannot miss you. And now, seal this moment with intention. Type "I break the cycle" in the comments if this message confirms what your spirit already knew. Blessing code 444 is now activated over your discernment and protection. As this revelation settles into your heart, understand that this message is not just for you alone. There are others standing at the same crossroads, praying for a warning before repeating an old mistake. When you participate in spreading this word, you become part of heaven's interruption in someone else's life. If this message stirred your spirit, do not ignore the opportunity to fuel this mission. When you release a super thanks, join the membership, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding a platform. You are lighting a torch. You are placing oil in the lamp so that warnings like this continue to reach souls at the exact hour they need them. God says, as you pour, I will pour back into you. This is not charity. This is covenant. The seed you release becomes protection, clarity, and breakthrough for someone you may never meet. And as you respond in obedience, heaven records it. I declare that every giver connected to this word will experience divine covering over their next decision. As you sow into discernment, confusion will not overtake you. As you support this mission, protection will stand at your door. Do not hesitate. Act in alignment with what you feel right now. Strengthen the voice that strengthens you. The cycle ends today. Faithful one, now that the cycle has been exposed, the real battle begins within your thoughts. Breaking a pattern is powerful, but maintaining that break requires awareness. The moment you decide to step back, something interesting happens. The pressure does not immediately disappear. In fact, it may increase. The messages may become more persuasive. The opportunity may appear sweeter. The person involved may suddenly seem more understanding. This is not coincidence. This is resistance reacting to your decision. When you pull away from something misaligned, it often pulls back harder. God is not in tears because you are weak. He is moved because he sees how close you are to freedom. And freedom always faces one final test before it stabilizes. The enemy does not retreat quietly when he senses he is losing influence. He tries one last appeal to your emotions. You may feel tempted to reconsider. You may start questioning whether you were too cautious. You may wonder if you misunderstood the signs. This mental tug-of-war is normal. But do not confuse mental noise with spiritual truth. Archangel Michael is still present. His assignment did not end when you typed those words or felt that confirmation. His assignment continues as long as the battle over your decision continues. He strengthens your resolve when doubt whispers. He reinforces your peace when anxiety tries to creep back in. Right now, the battlefield is subtle. It is not dramatic chaos. It is suggestion. It is thought. It is memory. It is imagination trying to repaint the situation in softer colors. Be careful. Your mind can romanticize what your spirit already rejected. Remember how it felt before this clarity rhyme. Remember the uneasiness. Remember the tightness in your chest. Remember the quiet warning that would not leave you alone. That was not insecurity. That was divine alignment correcting your course. There is something powerful happening behind the scenes. The very thing you almost stepped into is beginning to reveal cracks. Conversations you have not heard are unfolding. Truth you have not seen are surfacing. Motives you could not detect are shifting into the light. This is why heaven rushed to intercept you. If you had committed fully before those cracks appeared, detachment would have been painful. But because you paused, exposure will happen without entanglement. That is protection at its highest level. God's tears are drying now, not because the situation vanished, but because you responded. Every time you choose obedience, heaven breathes easier over your future. Still, there is one more layer you must understand. Sometimes the greatest threat to your destiny is not a harmful person or a deceptive offer. Sometimes it is your own fear of missing out. The fear that if you say no, nothing better will come. The fear that this might be your only chance. The fear that waiting again means losing again. But what is ordained for you does not require fear to secure it. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian of divine timing. What belongs in your life will enter without manipulation. What is meant to stay will not need constant reassurance. What is truly aligned will strengthen your peace, not disturb it. If you feel like you are losing something by walking away, shift your perspective. You are not losing. You are filtering. You are refining your path. You are strengthening your boundaries. And boundaries are holy. Many people repeat cycles because they mistake access for blessing. Not everyone who approaches you is assigned to stay with you. Not every opportunity that knocks carries favor. Discernment separates noise from calling. Right now, heaven is teaching you to trust that discernment. You may notice silence from the other side soon. A cooling off. A withdrawal. You not chase it. Let it drift. If something is truly meant for you, it will return in clarity and honor. If it fades under distance, it was sustained by urgency, not purpose. The next few days are crucial. Maintain stillness. Resist over-explaining yourself. Do not rush to justify your hesitation. You owe no one immediate access to your yes. Archangel Michael continues to shield your emotional space. Speak less. Observe more. Pray quietly. Let time reveal what pressure tried to conceal. And watch how peace slowly replaces tension. This is the evidence that you chose correctly. God is not trying to limit your joy. He is trying to protect its longevity. Temporary excitement fades quickly, but sustainable peace builds foundations that last. You are stepping into a season where your choices will shape years ahead. That is why this warning carried such intensity. The crossroads was real. The outcome was significant. But because you paused, the future just shifted in your favor. Hold that confidence. Trust that protection sometimes feels like loss at first glance. Trust that divine delay is not denial. Trust that what is removed was never meant to anchor your destiny. Archangel Michael stands firm beside you, not as a distant symbol, but as active defense over your discernment. And heaven is no longer weeping in urgency. It is watching in anticipation. Because when you break a cycle, you do not just protect your present. You redeem your future. Warrior of light, something has shifted in the atmosphere around you. The moment you chose to pause, a silent rearrangement began. What felt urgent yesterday now feels distant. What once pulled at your emotions is starting to lose its grip. This is not imagination. This is the spiritual consequence of obedience. When God warns and you respond, heaven moves quickly. There are conversations happening that you are not part of. There are motives being revealed behind closed doors. There are intentions surfacing that confirm exactly why this warning was necessary. You may never see all the details, and you do not need to. Protection does not require explanation to be effective. Archangel Michael has not stepped back. His assignment now shifts from interruption to reinforcement. He is strengthening your boundary. He is sealing the break in the cycle so it does not reopen through nostalgia or curiosity. Because here is the next test you will face. Curiosity. You may feel tempted to check back in, to see what changed, to ask questions, to reopen dialogue just to confirm you made the right choice. Be careful. Curiosity can reopen doors that discernment already closed. Sometimes closure is silent. Sometimes confirmation comes through distance, not conversation. God is no longer in tears, but He is still attentive. He knows your heart. He knows that part of you still wonders what might have happened if you had moved forward. That wondering is natural. But do not let imagination rewrite reality. Remember how uneasy you felt before clarity arrived. Remember the heaviness that would not leave you alone. It was truth trying to surface. Now that you have stepped back, you may begin to notice something else. A subtle peace returning. A steadiness in your thoughts. A lighter emotional weight. That is the evidence of alignment. Peace is not loud. It is gentle and consistent. The enemy thrives in chaos and urgency. When peace enters, his influence weakens. Archangel Michael's presence in your life during this time is not dramatic, but it is decisive. He stands as a guardian of your future, not just your present comfort. He fights battles you never see so you can walk paths you were meant to discover. And here is something you must hear clearly. You did not lose an opportunity. You avoided a detour. There is a difference. A detour may still lead somewhere, but it wastes time and drains energy. God values your time. He values your calling. He values the assignments attached to your life. That is why He intervenes so intensely. What is truly meant for you will not arrive through pressure. It will come through alignment. It will come through doors that open naturally. It will not require you to silence your discernment to participate. You are entering a season where clarity will increase. Not because life becomes easier, but because you have grown sharper spiritually. The warning you responded to has strengthened your sensitivity. The next time something feels off, you will not hesitate as long. That is maturity. And maturity attracts higher-level blessings. But do not become overconfident. Stay humble. Stay prayerful. Stay attentive. Discernment is a muscle. It grows with use, but it must remain connected to God's voice. In the coming days, watch for small confirmations. You may overhear something unexpected. You may notice behavior that reveals hidden character. You may sense a shift in tone that confirms you stepped away at the right time. These confirmations are gifts. They will reassure you that obedience was wisdom. However, do not wait for validation to feel secure. Your peace is already the validation. Archangel Michael continues to guard against emotional backtracking. Because sometimes when immediate danger passes, comfort tries to lure you into complacency. Do not slip into old habits simply because tension decreased. This moment was not only about avoiding harm. It was about strengthening your spiritual authority. You proved to yourself that you can pause. You proved that you can choose long-term peace over short-term gratification. You proved that you can listen when heaven whispers urgently. That confidence will serve you in greater decisions ahead. God's tears were a sign of love, not fear. And now those tears have turned into quiet pride. Not pride in an arrogant sense, but in the way a father feels when his child chooses wisdom over impulse. There is something ahead that requires this level of maturity. A blessing that would have been complicated if you were still entangled in the wrong alignment. A connection that requires emotional availability. A door that requires focus. Had you stepped into that detour, you would have been distracted when the real opportunity arrived. But now you are positioned correctly. Stay steady. Do not announce your decisions loudly. Let your peace speak for itself. Let your silence create distance where needed. Let your restraint become strength. Archangel Michael remains vigilant, but the intensity of the battle has decreased. Because the most dangerous moment was the moment before you chose. And you chose wisely. Now the path ahead clears slowly, gently, and intentionally. Walk forward without regret. The warning has done its work, and your future is breathing easier because of it. Steadfast heart, now that the immediate danger has passed, a deeper revelation must be understood. Protection is not only about what you avoided, it is also about what you are being prepared for. When God interrupts something forcefully, it is often because a greater assignment is approaching. You were not just being pulled away from harm. You were being preserved for purpose. There is a shift coming in your life that requires clarity, emotional strength, and spiritual discipline. If you had entangled yourself in that previous situation, your focus would have been divided. Your energy would have been drained. Your discernment would have been clouded. And when the real door opened, you might have been too distracted to recognize it. Archangel Michael's role in this season is strategic. He does not only defend against visible threats, he positions you for battles and blessings you do not yet see. Right now, he is guarding your peace because your peace is about to become your greatest asset. Something significant is forming ahead. It may involve leadership. It may involve influence. It may involve responsibility that stretches you beyond your comfort zone. And for that level of elevation, you cannot afford emotional confusion. The tears of God at the beginning of this message were not weakness. They were urgency mixed with vision. He sees where you are going. He sees who you are becoming. And he refused to let a temporary distraction interfere with a long-term calling. In the next few weeks, you may notice opportunities appearing that feel different from the last one. They will not carry the same pressure. They will not rush you. They will feel stable, calm, clear. That is how divine alignment enters your life. But here is the challenge. After experiencing a strong warning, some people become fearful of every opportunity. They start doubting everything. They hesitate excessively. Do not fall into that extreme. Discernment is not suspicion of everything. It is sensitivity to what disrupts peace. You are not being trained to reject all doors. You are being trained to recognize the right ones. Archangel Michael strengthens balance within you. Bold when necessary. Still when required. Courageous when called. Restrained when warned. This balance is maturity at its highest level. You may also notice that certain people begin distancing themselves from you. Do not chase them. Sometimes when your discernment sharpens, those who benefited from your previous vulnerability feel uncomfortable. That is not loss. That is alignment correcting itself. God is refining your circle. Your conversations will shift. Your tolerance for chaos will decrease. Your desire for authenticity will increase. And this refinement may feel lonely at moments, but it is sacred. The enemy hoped you would stay entangled long enough to delay your growth. But because you responded to the warning, growth accelerated instead. Right now, heaven is building resilience in you. The next time pressure appears, it will not shake you the same way. The next time flattery disguises manipulation, you will detect it sooner. The next time urgency tries to override clarity, you will pause instinctively. This is transformation, and transformation deserves reinforcement. If this message is strengthening your awareness, if you feel your spirit sharpening as you listen, do not stay silent. Engage with this word. Like this message so it can reach someone who is on the edge of repeating a painful mistake. Share it with a friend who has been feeling confused lately. Comment what you are learning through this season, because your testimony may become someone else's confirmation. Subscribe and remain connected to this space of discernment and spiritual clarity. Join the membership if you feel called to go deeper, to stand stronger, and to support a mission that interrupts cycles before they restart. When you engage, you amplify protection beyond yourself. And hold your attention here, because what is about to unfold next will reveal the hidden reason why that specific situation targeted you in the first place. Once you see the root, you will understand why heaven responded with such intensity. Stay with this message. The next revelation connects everything together. For now, stand firm in the peace you feel returning. Do not rush to fill the space that just cleared. Let silence settle. Let clarity deepen. Let God continue shaping your next steps without interference. Archangel Michael remains assigned, not because danger is near, but because destiny is closer than you think. And destiny requires readiness. Anointed One, now you are ready to see the root behind the attack. The situation that almost pulled you in was not random. It was tailored. It targeted a specific vulnerability in you. Not to destroy you, but to delay you. And delays can be just as damaging as detours when destiny is near. There is something about your next season that makes the spiritual realm alert. You are stepping into influence, whether you fully realize it or not. Influence does not always mean public recognition. Sometimes it means becoming the stable one in your family, the wise one in your circle, the grounded one in moments of chaos. That kind of elevation threatens forces that prefer you uncertain and distracted. The opportunity that presented itself was designed to touch an old wound. It appealed to your desire to feel chosen, to feel validated, to feel ahead instead of behind. That is why it felt magnetic. It did not tempt your weakness. It tempted your unhealed memory. But here is what has changed. You are no longer operating from that old version of yourself. Archangel Michael recognized the pattern immediately. What once would have entangled you now only brushed against you. The warning felt intense, because the enemy attempted to use a familiar key on a door that has already been reinforced. And that is why it did not fully unlock you this time. God's tears were the tears of a father remembering how much that same pattern cost you before. The sleepless nights, the emotional confusion, the rebuilding process that took longer than expected. He was not about to watch you re-enter that cycle without sounding the alarm. You might still be processing how close you came. You might feel surprised at how persuasive the situation seemed. Do not feel ashamed of that. Growth does not mean you stop being human. It means you respond differently than before. And you did. There is also something else you must understand. The enemy often strikes hardest right before elevation. When your life is about to shift upward, distractions intensify. When clarity is near, confusion tries one last performance. When purpose aligns, counterfeit options multiply. This is not punishment. It is confirmation. The intensity of the warning reflects the significance of your next chapter. You are being positioned for something that requires emotional independence. You cannot carry insecurity into what is coming. You cannot bring old validation patterns into the new space God is opening for you. Archangel Michael is not just defending you. He is training you. Training your reaction time. Training your boundaries. Training your spiritual reflexes. The fact that you paused instead of rushing shows that your reflexes have strengthened. And now the enemy must recalibrate, because what used to work no longer works. In the coming days, you may experience a quiet confidence rising within you. Not loud arrogance, but calm assurance. You will feel less desperate for approval, less eager to prove yourself, less anxious to secure what feels uncertain. That is healing. And healing makes you dangerous to deception. God is no longer weeping in urgency. He is watching you step forward with maturity. Heaven celebrates small obediences more than grand declarations. Because small obediences shape destiny. Still, remain watchful. Just because one test has passed does not mean others will not appear. But do not interpret that as fear. Interpret it as preparation. You are being refined for higher responsibility. The next opportunity that comes will require you to act, not withdraw. It will require courage instead of caution, and you will recognize it because it will not disturb your peace. It will align with it. This is how you will know the difference between pressure and purpose. Pressure demands immediate action to secure approval. Purpose invites confident movement without fear of loss. You are learning to distinguish between the two. Archangel Michael stands steady, not with urgency now, but with authority. The battle line that was drawn earlier has shifted. You are no longer at the edge of a mistake. You are stepping into a clear field, and the enemy knows it. That is why subtle thoughts may still try to whisper regret. Ignore them. Regret is a distraction. You did not miss out. You move up. Let that truth settle deeply. Your future required this maturity checkpoint. Your destiny required this sharpening. Your calling required this interruption. And now, you are stronger for it. The tears have dried. The warning has accomplished its mission. The cycle is broken. The door is closed. Ahead of you is a path that will not require you to shrink yourself or silence your discernment. Walk into it with confidence, because what is coming next is not a test of temptation. It is a test of readiness. And this time, you are ready. Faithful guardian of your own destiny, now the atmosphere around you begins to change in a way you can actually feel. What was once heavy now feels lighter. What once felt urgent now feels distant. That shift is not accidental. It is the evidence that the spiritual storm has passed over you without consuming you. And you must understand something clearly. Storms do not pass over everyone. Some people walk directly into them because they ignore the warning. But you paused. You listened. You obeyed. That obedience has consequences in the spiritual realm. When you aligned yourself with discernment instead of impulse, a seal was placed over your next season. Archangel Michael did not just block an immediate threat. He marked your path with protection. There are assignments that were scheduled to drain you that will now bypass you entirely. There were conversations meant to entangle you that will now dissolve before they reach you. This is what divine interception looks like. You may not see dramatic signs in the sky. You may not hear thunder. But in the unseen realm, a line was drawn and honored. The very thing that was trying to attach itself to your life lost permission. And here is where it becomes deeper. Because you chose correctly under pressure, you have gained spiritual authority. Authority is not loud. It is quiet confidence backed by obedience. The next time confusion tries to whisper, it will not feel as convincing. The next time flattery tries to rush you, it will not feel as powerful. You have matured beyond a level that once intimidated you. God's tears at the beginning of this message were the tears of urgent love. Now they have turned into something else. Joy mixed with relief. Not relief because he doubted you, but relief because you proved willing to listen. Still, the final layer of awareness is necessary. After a victory, complacency can quietly appear. You might think the battle is completely over and lower your guard too quickly. Do not misinterpret peace as permission to drift. Peace is stability, not laziness. Continue to pray. Continue to reflect. Continue to guard your time and energy. Archangel Michael remains near, not in alarm, but in alignment. Protection does not disappear after one victory. It adapts as you grow. There is also something unfolding ahead that you could not have stepped into if you were still entangled in that old pattern. A door is forming that requires your full focus. It requires your emotional availability. It requires your confidence. Had you chosen differently, you would have been distracted at the very moment this new opportunity appears. That is why heaven intervened so strongly. You were not being restricted. You were being positioned. In the coming days, you may notice subtle confirmations that validate everything you felt. You may hear news that makes you quietly grateful you did not commit. You may observe behavior that reveals hidden instability. Let those confirmations strengthen your trust in discernment. But do not dwell on what all is habit. Do not replay it repeatedly in your mind. Forward movement is your assignment now. There is power in closing chapters without announcing them. There is strength in silence. There is maturity in not needing to explain why you walked away. You are entering a calmer season, but it is not passive. It is strategic. You will feel more grounded, more observant, less reactive. That is spiritual elevation taking root. And now, seal this victory intentionally. Type "I walk in discernment" in the comments if you feel the shift that has taken place within you. Blessing code 818 is now released over your next season, activating clarity, protection, and divine timing. As you step into this new steadiness, understand that this message did not reach you by accident. There are countless souls standing at similar crossroads, praying for one clear warning before repeating years of pain. When you support this mission, you become part of that rescue. When you release a super thanks, join the membership, or so through the PayPal link in the description. You are not just giving to a channel. You are planting seeds into open ground where warnings become lifelines. Scripture declares, as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest shall not cease. That is not ancient history. That is a living promise spoken over you. First person trigger line. I choose to sow where discernment is awakened and destinies are protected. This is not a casual donation. It is a prophetic act. As you give, you declare that deception will not rule your generation. You declare that clarity will spread. You declare that spiritual maturity will multiply. I speak blessing over every giver. May the seed you release return as wisdom in critical moments. May protection stand at your door. May your next decision carry divine confidence. Do not hesitate when your spirit feels stirred. Obey quickly. Participate boldly. Strengthen the voice that strengthened you. The victory has been sealed. Walk forward covered. Beloved vessel of purpose, now that the victory has been sealed, something even more profound begins to unfold within you. The external situation may appear calm, but internally, transformation is taking place. What you experienced was not just a warning about one decision. It was a spiritual promotion disguised as a crisis. You were tested in a moment that looked ordinary, but it carried extraordinary weight in the unseen realm. You must recognize this clearly. You passed a threshold. Before this moment, your discernment was growing. Now, it is established. Before this, you questioned your inner voice. And now, you trust it more deeply. That shift alone changes the trajectory of your life. Archangel Michael did not only defend you from a wrong turn, he stood witness to your maturity. In spiritual terms, when a soul responds correctly under pressure, new levels of responsibility become available. Not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated readiness. There is a difference between wanting elevation and being prepared for it. Preparation often comes through restraint. Think about what almost happened. You were moments away from entanglement. The timing felt convincing. The opportunity seemed aligned. But instead of reacting emotionally, you paused spiritually. That pause was a doorway into growth. Bud's tears at the beginning of this journey were tears of urgent love. But now, heaven observes you with confidence. The urgency has shifted into anticipation. Something greater is being arranged, and this time it will not require warning tears to protect it. Still, do not misunderstand the season you are in. Elevation is not always dramatic. Sometimes it feels like quiet stability. You may not see fireworks or sudden miracles. Instead, you will notice internal steadiness. Decisions will become clearer. Your reactions will become calmer. Your tolerance for chaos will decrease naturally. This is what spiritual authority feels like. Authority does not shout. It stands. You are beginning to stand differently. In conversations, you will sense motives more quickly. In opportunities, you will detect imbalance sooner. In relationships, you will recognize energy shifts without needing obvious proof. This is not suspicion. It is sensitivity sharpened by obedience. Archangel Michael remains present, but his role shifts again. He is no longer blocking an immediate threat. He is reinforcing your awareness. Think of it as a shield that moves with you, not just one that stands in front of you. There may also be a surprising development ahead. The very situation you step away from might reveal instability publicly. Not dramatically, but clearly enough for you to feel confirmation. When that happens, resist the urge to feel superior. Simply feel grateful. Gratitude protects humility, and humility protects elevation. Another subtle challenge may arise in the form of validation. Someone may praise your wisdom. Someone may admire your decision. Do not let pride replace discernment. Remember, your strength came from listening, not from personal brilliance alone. God guided you. Archangel Michael guarded you. You responded. That partnership is what secured this outcome. And now, something beautiful begins to form, confidence without arrogance. You will start trusting your spiritual instincts without second-guessing every thought. That balance is rare, and it is powerful. But stay grounded. Continue to pray quietly. Continue to seek confirmation when necessary. Continue to value peace over pressure. Because as your influence grows, so does attention. The enemy may not approach you the same way next time. The tactic will change. The packaging will look different. But your awareness is no longer naive. You have memory now. You have experience. And experience sharpens discernment faster than theory ever could. You are stepping into a phase where fewer warnings will be needed because you will sense shifts before they escalate. That is spiritual maturity in action. There is also a personal breakthrough attached to this obedience. Something that felt delayed in your life will begin to move. It may not happen instantly, but momentum is forming. When you remove misalignment, space opens for alignment to enter. You created space. That space will not remain empty for long. Trust that what fills it next will feel calm, not chaotic. Stable, not rushed. Clear, not confusing. And when it arrives, you will recognize it immediately because it will not disturb your spirit. That is the reward of discernment. God is no longer in tears. Heaven is no longer sounding alarms. The atmosphere is settled, but your growth continues. Do not look back with regret. Do not replay what almost happened. Do not imagine alternative endings. Instead, move forward with quiet authority. You were warned. You listened. You obeyed. And because of that, your future has shifted in ways you may only fully understand months from now. For now, walk steadily. Protection surrounds you. Clarity guides you. And the next chapter approaches without the weight of the last one. My steadfast child, what comes next will require even more awareness than what you have just walked through. You have passed the immediate test. You resisted the pressure. You chose peace over impulse. But now you are entering a quieter phase that is just as important. This is the phase where your consistency will be examined. The enemy often retreats after a failed attempt, but he observes. He waits to see if your obedience was temporary or transformative. He studies whether your pause was emotional reaction or spiritual growth. This is why the next few weeks matter deeply. You may feel normal again. Life may resume its routine rhythm. The urgency you felt earlier may seem distant, almost exaggerated in memory. Be careful not to downplay what happened. What felt intense was intense for a reason. Do not let comfort convince you that the warning was unnecessary. Archangel Michael remains assigned to your life in this season, not because danger is immediate, but because destiny is aligning. When destiny aligns, subtle distractions increase. Not dramatic ones, but small compromises. Slight shifts. Tiny allowances that appear harmless. For example, you may feel tempted to reopen communication casually. You may justify checking in just to be kind. You may rationalize revisiting the opportunity just to see. These are not catastrophic decisions, but they chip at the boundary you fought to establish. Consistency protects where obedience started. God is no longer in tears, but He is watchful. He sees how fragile new growth can be if not nurtured. Think of your discernment like a muscle healing after strain. It is stronger now, but it still requires care. You are also being observed by people around you. Some noticed your shift. Some sensed your withdrawal from something that looked appealing. Some may even question your decision. Stand firm without needing their validation. Maturity often confuses those who still operate on impulse. There is another truth unfolding here. The reason that opportunity felt so urgent is because it was connected to a timeline that was never yours. You were about to step into someone else's rush, someone else's insecurity, someone else's unfinished lesson. And had you joined it, you would have inherited consequences that were never assigned to you. Archangel Michael blocked that transfer. You were protected from carrying a burden that did not belong to your calling. As you continue forward, expect subtle invitations to compromise your clarity. Not in dramatic ways, but in socially acceptable ones. This is where your strength must become steady, not reactive. Say less. Observe more. Commit slowly. Discern quietly. Peace should remain your filter. And now hear this clearly. If this message has been guiding you, grounding you, sharpening your awareness, do not disconnect from it casually. Like this message so it continues reaching those who are moments away from repeating painful patterns. Share it with someone who needs a timely interruption. Comment what has shifted inside you through this journey, because your reflection might become someone else's awakening. Subscribe and remain aligned with this atmosphere of discernment. Join the membership if you feel called to deepen your spiritual awareness and stand consistently in clarity. When you engage, you strengthen a space that protects many, not just yourself. And stay focused here, because what is about to unfold next will reveal how this entire warning connects to a larger assignment over your life. The story is not ending. It is expanding. Now, return your attention inward. Do not allow pride to sneak in disguised as confidence. Do not allow fear to sneak in disguised as caution. Stay balanced. Stay grounded. Stay prayerful. Archangel Michael stands not as a distant symbol, but as an active guardian of your discernment. But guardianship does not replace discipline. You must continue choosing wisely even when no alarm sounds. Your next season will require leadership in subtle ways. Others will begin to seek your advice. People will notice your calm. They will ask how you saw what they missed. This influence must be handled with humility, because the moment you assume you cannot be misled is the moment vulnerability returns. Stay teachable. Stay attentive. Stay aware that spiritual growth is continuous. You were warned once and you listened. Now you must live in a way that proves the lesson stayed with you. The path ahead is stable, but stability must be maintained intentionally. And what is coming next will reveal why this preparation was absolutely necessary. My chosen one, everything that has unfolded so far has been preparation for this revelation. The warning was never only about a relationship, an offer, or a moment of pressure. It was about alignment with a calling that is larger than you initially understood. What almost distracted you was strategically positioned at the edge of your breakthrough. Yes, your breakthrough. You have been praying for expansion. You have been asking God for increase, for clarity, for stability, for elevation. But elevation requires space, and space cannot be created if you are entangled in what drains you. The situation you avoided was not just a detour. It was a weight. A weight so momentum. If you had stepped into it, your focus would have fragmented right when acceleration was meant to begin. Archangel Michael intervened because acceleration is near. You may not see it yet, but the groundwork has been laid. Conversations are aligning. Opportunities are forming. Doors are preparing to open that reflect your growth, not your insecurity. And had you carried that old pattern forward, you would have mismanaged what is about to arrive. This is why the warning felt urgent. Heaven was not reacting emotionally. Heaven was guarding timing. Timing is sacred. There are moments in life when a single decision either harmonizes with divine timing or collides with it. You were standing at that precise intersection. One path would have delayed you. The other positioned you. You chose positioning. Now you must prepare for movement. Acceleration does not always begin with excitement. Sometimes it begins with responsibility. You may notice that expectations increase around you. Tasks multiply. People rely on you more. This is not coincidence. It is preparation for influence. Influence does not require fame. It requires stability. And you are becoming stable. God's tears have transformed into confidence in your maturity. The urgency of the warning has transitioned into quiet orchestration behind the scenes. You are being placed where your voice will matter more than before, where your decisions will impact others, where your presence will stabilize environments that once overwhelmed you. But hear this carefully. Acceleration will test your consistency. It is one thing to discern correctly under pressure. It is another to remain grounded when success begins to appear. Pride can slip in quietly. Overconfidence can whisper that you no longer need caution. Archangel Michael's continued presence in your life is not about fear. It is about stewardship. He guards what God entrusts to you, but you must steward it wisely. There may soon be an invitation that feels aligned, peaceful, and clear. When it arrives, do not sabotage it by overanalyzing out of past fear. Remember the difference between pressure and purpose. Pressure demanded urgency. Purpose will invite readiness. You will feel the distinction immediately. This is the fruit of discernment. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding with awareness. That shift alone changes outcomes. And here is something profound. The enemy will attempt one final tactic, not through temptation, but through distraction. As your breakthrough approaches, minor irritations may surface. Small conflicts, unexpected delays, annoyances that try to drain your focus. These are not major threats. They are attempts to fracture your attention. Do not allow them to succeed. Stay centered. Protect your energy. Guard your peace fiercely. Because when acceleration begins, clarity must remain intact. You are stepping into a chapter where what you speak will carry weight, where what you decide will ripple outward, where what you tolerate will shape environments around you. That is why this entire journey unfolded as it did. It was training. Training in restraint. Training in listening. Training in spiritual reflex. Archangel Michael stands as witness to your growth, but also as reminder that protection and preparation walk together. You are not only protected from harm, you are prepared for purpose. In the coming days, pay attention to subtle confirmations, an unexpected opportunity, a conversation that affirms your direction, a door opening that feels peaceful instead of pressured. These are not coincidences. They are alignment. God is no longer warning in tears. He is guiding with precision. You were saved from entanglement so you could step into expansion. Do not shrink back now. Do not hesitate when clarity appears. Do not doubt your readiness. You have been refined through obedience. And what is approaching will reveal why this warning was necessary at exactly this moment in your life. Stay alert. Stay humble. Stay aligned. Because the next chapter will not test your discernment. It will showcase it. My beloved and chosen child, this is the final unveiling of what heaven has been preparing you to understand. When this message began, it carried urgency. God was in tears. The warning was intense. The pressure felt real. You were standing at the edge of a decision that could have redirected your path in ways you would only understand much later. Now look at where you stand. You are no longer at the edge of confusion. You are standing in clarity. You are no longer wrestling with urgency. You are walking in steadiness. The very thing that once felt magnetic has lost its pull. The very pressure that felt overwhelming has dissolved. This is what divine intervention looks like when it succeeds. God was not crying because destruction was guaranteed. He was moved because destiny was close. When destiny is near, distractions intensify. When promotion approaches, deception tries to intercept. When elevation is forming, counterfeit doors swing open first. You were minutes away from stepping into something that would have required months to untangle. But you paused. You listened. You obeyed. And because you did, your timeline shifted in your favor. Archangel Michael's assignment over your life during this moment was not symbolic. It was strategic. He guarded the intersection. He reinforced your discernment. He stood between you and a cycle that was attempting to restart. Now the cycle is broken. And here is the final truth you must carry forward. This was not just about avoiding harm. It was about proving readiness. Heaven does not elevate carelessly. Promotion follows discernment. Expansion follows obedience. Influence follows restraint. You demonstrated all three. The next season opening before you will not require emergency warnings. It will require confident steps. The doors ahead will not rush you. They will align with you. The relationships entering your life will not disturb your peace. They will confirm it. Because now you know the difference. Pressure screams. Purpose settles. Deception flares. Destiny affirms. You have learned to distinguish between them. Still, remain watchful. Not fearful but aware. The lesson of this warning is not temporary. Carry it into every decision. Let peace remain your compass. Let patience remain your filter. Let prayer remain your anchor. Archangel Michael continues to guard your path, but your maturity now walks beside that protection. You are no longer easily swayed by urgency. You are no longer impressed by surface-level promises. You are anchored. And because you are anchored, what is coming will not shake you. There will be a moment soon when you look back at this season and quietly say, "That warning saved me." Not grammatically, not emotionally, but with deep gratitude. God's tears were never about punishment. They were about preservation, and you responded to preservation with obedience. Now seal this entire journey with intention. Type "I choose divine timing" in the comments if you are committed to walking in discernment from this day forward. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over your future decisions, your relationships, and your open doors. As this chapter closes, understand something sacred. Messages like this are not entertainment. They are lifelines. There are souls right now standing at the exact edge you once stood on, praying for one clear interruption before they step into regret. When you support this mission, you help heaven reach them in time. Scripture declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." This is not a distant verse. It is God speaking directly into your obedience today. When you release a super thanks, join the membership, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding content. You are sowing into warnings that rescue destinies. First person trigger line. I will sow where protection flows and clarity saves lives. This is a prophetic act, not a casual gesture. As you give, you declare that deception will not win in your generation. As you sow, you activate harvest over your own discernment. As you support this work, heaven records your partnership in spreading light. I speak blessing over every seed released. May your giving return as supernatural timing in critical moments. May doors open without pressure. May your household be covered by divine protection. Do not delay obedience when your spirit is stirred. Act now. Strengthen the mission that strengthened you. The warning has ended. The protection remains. Walk forward chosen, covered, and aligned.